Have you ever asked yourself how a nice, compassionate person could change and start doing terrible things? Or what makes a previously moral individual act immorally? Visualize a trusted and admired person slowly transforming into someone completely unfamiliar. What if I told you this happens more often than you think, shaping history and the way people behave? Today, we're tackling one of the most troubling and thought-provoking mysteries of human behavior. How can good people become evil? By the end of this video, you'll learn about the hidden forces that can turn regular people toward darkness. Spot and resist these influences, with the last lesson being the most vital and empowering. This journey will lead us through psychological studies, historical moments, and philosophical insights, revealing how thin the line is between good and evil. But this isn't only about them, it's about us, pushing us to wonder, if I faced the same circumstances, would I be any different? Could I be drawn in too? Stick with me, because what you uncover today could shift your perspective on life and yourself forever. Philip Zimbardo, the psychologist behind the infamous Stanford prison experiment, popularized the concept of the Lucifer Effect, which examines how good people can be led to do evil and how situational factors and assigned roles can lead to extreme behavior. His revelations were both chilling and eye-opening. The environment we're in, the roles we embrace, and the commands we follow can corrupt even the most ethical individuals, turning them into agents of harm. Roles can corrupt by fostering dominance and eroding empathy. Think about that. Throughout history, regular people have been responsible for horrific acts, whether as Nazi camp guards, soldiers in genocides, or silent witnesses to brutality. These people were not inherently evil, but were shaped by situational forces and social influence. Many were just ordinary individuals caught in situations that brought out the darkest sides of human nature. What makes ordinary people turn evil throughout history? The explanation lies in a mix of psychological and social influences that drive human actions. Stanley Milgram's 1960s obedience studies unveiled a frightening truth about the impact of authority. His studies demonstrated that ordinary people obey authority figures even when instructed to harm others. Milgram's experiment used fake electric shocks to show how people obey authority even when harming others. In his experiment, individuals followed orders to give electric shocks to another person, who was, in reality, an actor pretending to suffer. Surprisingly, the majority of participants obeyed orders and continued giving shocks, despite believing they were severely hurting someone. His experiment reveals how blind obedience can override morality, raising questions about personal responsibility. Take a moment to think, how often do we comply with instructions simply because they come from a superior, a leader, or the rules society has set? Milgram's findings warn that blind obedience to authority is still upon us, shaping human behavior today. What choice would you make if someone in power asked you to go against your values in the name of the greater good? Do you follow authority blindly, or do you question and stand by your morals? A small step in the wrong direction, just this once. Over time, minor choices build upon each other, paving the way for significant moral downfall. Take a brief moment to reflect. Have you ever compromised your principles because it felt like the simpler path? Have you ever made a small choice that led to something you never expected? What did you learn from that experience? As we continue, we'll learn how to identify these moments before they lead to bigger consequences. Beyond that, we'll discover strategies to guard ourselves against these manipulative forces and to stay aware, resist pressure, and hold on to our morals. First, we need to tackle an even deeper question. Can some people resist the Lucifer effect, or are we all vulnerable to it? Don't go anywhere, because the next part will shake the way you see yourself and the world around you. What comes next might challenge everything you thought you knew. Are certain individuals unaffected? Now let's face a question that has been on many minds. Is it possible for some people to be completely unaffected by the Lucifer effect? The unsettling reality is that none of us are fully resistant. In the right situation, even good people can be influenced to do bad things. The role of dehumanization. Another major contributor is the act of seeing others as less than human. Dehumanization strips empathy, making cruelty and violence easier to justify. When we dehumanize others, seeing them as enemies, threats, or less than human, committing acts of cruelty becomes disturbingly easier. This strategy has been repeatedly used in propaganda, warfare, and even daily disputes. Hurting someone becomes much easier when we see them as less human, and silence our empathy. Now think about the words we use in today's social and political conversations. What impact does this have on our empathy, making it easier to see others as the enemy? How frequently do we witness whole communities being defined by simplistic stereotypes? How do the roles we adopt and the groups we belong to impact our decisions? Group dynamics and social roles significantly impact how we act and think. Negative stereotypes, social media, and group identity can weaken our empathy toward others. It's not just dehumanization, there's more to the story. This was powerfully shown in Zimbardo's Stanford prison experiment, where college students were randomly assigned roles as guards or prisoners in a mock prison. In just a few days, the guards started acting abusively, while the prisoners displayed intense stress and helplessness. What was the most shocking discovery? How students quickly conformed to abusive guard and submissive prisoner roles. How fast they forgot who they were and adapted completely to the roles they were given. This leads us to a crucial point. Do we truly control our own actions, or are we unconsciously influenced by the roles imposed on us? Understanding the hidden influences around us. Authority, group dynamics, and dehumanization are real forces that shape our world, not just theories. They influence our everyday lives, shaping our thoughts, actions, and perceptions of others. These forces are present in offices, schools, digital spaces, and family dynamics. Identifying these influences is the key to breaking free from them, and the defining moment. But when exactly does a good person cross the boundary into darkness? When exactly does a good person cross the line into doing harm? What triggers the shift from being a good person to committing harmful acts? That shift usually happens quietly. It begins with tiny, seemingly harmless choices, choosing silence rather than standing up against unfairness. The question of whether personality affects a person's resistance to corruption has been widely debated in psychology. Psychological theories suggest that individuals with a solid sense of personal values, high emotional intelligence, and the ability to recognize manipulative influences are more likely to resist corruption. While qualities like empathy, self-awareness, and moral courage can offer some protection, the reality is that, given the right or wrong circumstances, anyone can fall victim to these influences. Imagine it like this. Within each of us exists the capacity for both incredible kindness and unthinkable cruelty. The concept of human duality has long been a focus in storytelling, spiritual beliefs, and philosophical debates. The famous Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung referred to this concept as the shadow, the darker sides of our personality that we often ignore or push away. Jung argued that true self-awareness requires facing our shadow and bringing it into our conscious mind. Have you ever been shocked by the intensity of your own anger or envy? Have you ever done something in the moment that you later wished you could take back? These are brief encounters with your shadow self. If ignored, the shadow can expand, influencing behavior in line with the Lucifer Effect. But here's the hopeful side. Our best defense is awareness. Understanding the mental processes behind moral collapse helps us resist them, the risk of disconnecting from our moral compass. Let's dive deeper into how these influences shape our world, and most crucially, how we can fight back. Psychologists identify moral disengagement as one of the most subtle yet powerful mechanisms influencing behavior. First introduced by Albert Bandura, moral disengagement describes how individuals justify harmful actions to escape guilt or regret. Someone might rationalize their actions by thinking, if everyone else is doing it, then it must be okay, or the outcome makes it worth it. These mental defenses separate individuals from their behavior, reducing guilt and making misconduct seem acceptable. Think about how this happens in daily situations. A student convinces themselves that cheating on one exam won't matter, while a manager justifies mistreating employees as a means to achieve business goals. At these points, moral disengagement makes it easier for people to act in ways that conflict with their beliefs. The solution: staying morally aware and practicing empathy. How do we counter this? What experts in psychology call ethical mindfulness, the capacity to critically evaluate our choices and their impact, even when it feels uneasy. Pause and consider, am I convincing myself that something wrong is acceptable? Empathy is another powerful force. It protects us from falling into dehumanization. When we acknowledge the humanity in others, their hopes, fears, and emotions, it becomes far less easy to justify harming them. This is why creative expression, shared stories, and human relationships are crucial. By reminding us of our common humanity, they help dismantle the barriers that separate us, bringing attention to the role of leadership and society. But beyond the individual, how do we tackle the larger systems that reinforce harm and make the Lucifer effect possible on a mass scale? Addressing this requires ethical leadership and a sense of shared responsibility. We've seen time and again that strong leaders can either guide societies to progress or push them toward corruption. By manipulating fear and hatred, Adolf Hitler justified unimaginable crimes. By using their voices for good, Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. sparked movements that opposed injustice and created long-lasting change. This forces us to ask, who do we entrust with influence over us? And just as critically, how do we use our own influence in the world? What effect do we have on the thoughts and behaviors of others? Authority isn't required to make an impact. We all affect those around us in our daily lives. The key question is, are we using our influence to spread compassion and equality? Or do our actions, whether we realize it or not, contribute to harm and separation? Consider the individuals you look up to. What values define their character? More importantly, what kind of role model are you for the people who look up to you? As we analyze these forces, it becomes clear that good and evil aren't just opposing forces in society, but an internal struggle we all navigate. It's an ongoing inner conflict that every person must confront in their daily life. The uplifting reality is that just as external influences can corrupt, they can also shape us into beacons of kindness, bravery, and ethical leadership. What steps can we take to build moral courage within ourselves? Clarify the values that guide your actions. What beliefs define and guide you? Sincerity, generosity, righteousness, reliability. Consider times when you were confronted with a tough ethical decision. Did you stay true to your principles, or did you make compromises? Practicing moral responses mentally. A helpful exercise is to mentally place yourself in challenging ethical scenarios. How would you handle a situation where you're pressured to act unethically? What actions would you take if you observed workplace harassment? By mentally preparing for these scenarios, you build the confidence to respond effectively in real-life situations. Surround yourself with people who share your values. A strong support network fosters encouragement and accountability, empowering you to resist social and authoritative pressure. Acknowledging the impact of our environment on our decisions. What can we do when we are part of environments that undermine our ethical values? At this point, being aware of your surroundings is crucial. Being situationally aware means understanding the hidden cues and interactions that influence decisions. Be mindful of the norms that influence group dynamics. What actions are socially accepted or expected in this environment? If you see behaviors that marginalize or manipulate others, reflect on whether they align with your values or if you've passively accepted them. The strength found in simple, everyday choices. It's easy to feel powerless against large-scale injustices, yet even the smallest acts of courage can create lasting impact. One individual's commitment to doing what's right can motivate others to do likewise. Taking a stand against unethical workplace actions might appear dangerous, but it can encourage others to take a stand. Small acts of compassion and understanding can disrupt the culture of dehumanization that surrounds us. In the end, every decision we make, no matter how small, helps shape our surroundings. Do you choose to passively accept moral failure or actively work toward justice? It's essential to recognize the importance of self-reflection. Socrates once stated, "The unexamined life is not worth living," emphasizing the value of self-reflection. By reflecting on ourselves, we become aware of our biases, take ownership of our errors, and evolve. The focus isn't on perfection, but on making small strides toward greater awareness and personal growth every day. Make self-reflection a routine by asking yourself, what inspired my choices today? Did I show respect and empathy toward those around me? Did I choose silence when speaking up was necessary? Asking these questions regularly fosters greater integrity and awareness. And what of the deepest question we must ask ourselves? Can we ever completely dismantle the psychological mechanisms of the Lucifer effect? While individual and societal factors play a role, the essence of the solution lies in nurturing what Philip Zimbardo describes as the heroic imagination. With this mindset, everyday people can rise to the occasion and act heroically in ethical crises. It's the understanding that anyone can be heroic, not just an elite minority. To nurture this way of thinking, actively look for ways to practice small, courageous acts. Heroism is accessible to everyone. Whether it's standing up for someone, volunteering for a cause, or practicing kindness in small ways, these acts help build a heroic mindset. Gaining insight from the experiences of past heroes can help cultivate a heroic mindset. Be it from iconic leaders of the past or present-day advocates for change, they remind us that bravery and kindness are within everyone's reach. At this moment, you might be thinking, what is the deepest truth of all? What final understanding could redefine the way we perceive our role in the world? The true insight is embracing the profound ways in which we are all linked. Good and evil are not separated by borders or identities. It resides within all of us. As Solzhenitsyn wisely observed, the battle line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man. This understanding instills both humility and a sense of personal power. It reinforces that within each of us lies the ability to wound or to heal. At the same time, it grants us the power of decision. Stick with me, because in the final section, we'll explore how to put these ideas into action in your own life. With every passing moment, we can act with integrity, resist harmful influences, and work toward a world founded on justice and empathy. The processes that turn people toward darkness can just as easily lead them to light. What steps can we take to stay true to our morals and values? What strategies can help us stand strong against the pull of the Lucifer effect? The path to understanding is right in front of us. Understanding and resisting moral collapse. Up next, we'll dive into effective strategies for recognizing and combating the mental traps that lead to ethical downfall. These methods have been explored by experts, practiced by spiritual guides, and relied upon by individuals who have faced extraordinary adversity. Most importantly, the final revelation we'll examine is the one that can truly reshape your perspective. Awareness alone cannot help us resist the forces that mislead us. We must first comprehend a fundamental truth. Mere awareness is insufficient. Recognizing the psychological forces driving the Lucifer effect is an essential first step. But we also need effective strategies to resist their influence. We'll explore these approaches, starting with one of the most powerful shields against moral failure, the resilience of moral integrity. Moral courage is the resolve to do what is right, regardless of fear, challenges, or personal consequences. It motivates people to stand against wrongdoing, safeguard those at risk, and take responsibility for their errors, even when staying quiet feels like the easier path. We are not born with moral courage. It is something we nurture through conscious effort and reflection. Together, we'll discover practical ways to stand strong against the Lucifer effect, while also striving to make a meaningful impact in a world that urgently requires it. We have analyzed how awareness, empathy, and self-reflection function as protections against these forces. Now let's turn our attention to what you can start doing today to grow stronger and become a positive force in the face of adversity. The journey begins with understanding the power of your influence. Regardless of how insignificant your role may seem, you can shape the environment around you. With each interaction, you play a role in establishing the norms and values that guide those around you. Are you promoting values of kindness, fairness, and accountability in your surroundings? Or are you allowing destructive behaviors to go unchallenged? Imagine the impact of someone who transformed history through simple yet powerful actions. Nevertheless, Oskar Schindler, the German businessman who used his wealth and influence to protect more than 1,200 Jewish people from the Holocaust. His story serves as a powerful reminder that even during the bleakest chapters of history, one individual can make an impact. It highlights the power of courage, compassion, and moral conviction in the face of unimaginable evil. You can embody this principle without waiting for remarkable events. You have the power to make a difference in your own community, family, or workplace. Don't stay silent in the face of injustice. Support those who feel excluded and question the stereotypes and assumptions that foster division. Small actions, when multiplied, hold the potential to transform both individual lives and whole communities. Educating yourself and those around you is another essential action. Knowledge serves as a crucial shield against deception and ethical deterioration. Studying history, philosophy, and psychology will help you comprehend the motivations behind human decisions. Use this knowledge to engage others in discussions that inspire self-reflection and personal growth, rather than to lecture or preach. Movies, media, and literature play a significant role in shaping our views on good and evil, as well as right and wrong. Have you considered how the narratives we absorb influence the way we think and perceive the world? By engaging with narratives that challenge your viewpoints and deepen your understanding, this helps you cultivate a more nuanced and empathetic view of the world. We should also consider the importance of resilience in difficult situations. Advocating for what is right may come at a cost, including rejection, career consequences, or personal hardship. This is why developing resilience is vital. Resilience doesn't require the absence of fear. It means acting in alignment with your values, even when fear is present. Developing resilience requires engaging in practices that promote mental and emotional well-being. Engaging in mindfulness, meditation, journaling, or seeking wisdom from mentors and supportive friends can be beneficial. Stay connected with a network of people who inspire and support your growth. You don't develop resilience on your own. Building resilience requires collective support. It grows stronger through relationships and support. But how do we respond to failure? Because at some point, we all will. At times, fear and pressure may overpower us, resulting in choices we later wish we had made differently. This is where the ability to forgive yourself becomes crucial. Failure is an inevitable part of life, and real growth comes from confronting and learning from our shortcomings. It's not about excusing wrongdoing, but about owning your mistakes, taking accountability, and working toward positive change. Pause and think for a moment. Have you ever experienced a time when you strayed from your principles? What was your reaction when you recognized your mistake? Did you grow from the experience, or did it shape your identity in a limiting way? Self-forgiveness and forgiving others are powerful tools for breaking free from the cycles of harm reinforced by the Lucifer Effect. It helps you progress with a clear mind and intention, rather than being stuck in guilt or resentment. Now let's come back to the most fundamental truth: the way all of humanity is deeply connected. Recognizing this doesn't mean excusing wrongdoing, but it helps us respond with empathy and a focus on healing instead of condemnation. Recognizing that good and evil coexist within every heart allows us to approach both ourselves and others with greater empathy. Even the smallest choices you make have an impact that extends beyond what you can see. Think about how even small actions can set off meaningful ripple effects. Are your actions unknowingly spreading discord, or are they building connections and inspiring optimism? Visualize a future where individuals oppose dehumanizing influences, embrace responsibility, and create communities rooted in compassion and integrity. This is a goal we can achieve with determination and the right approach. It's a world we can shape, step by step, through our actions. As we wrap up this journey, here is one final challenge for you. Reflect on today's lessons and ask yourself how you can use them to make a difference in your life. What was the most important lesson I learned today? How can I apply this lesson to improve myself or my actions? In what small way can I use this knowledge to make a positive impact? What will you do to recognize and stand firm against the forces that attempt to pull you from your moral compass? In what ways will you contribute to a world where compassion and integrity prevail? Though these questions are difficult, exploring them is essential, because the fight between good and evil doesn't unfold in remote wars or theoretical discussions. It's a daily struggle that happens inside each of us. The next time you stand at an ethical crossroads, recall this lesson. Do you realize that you hold the power to decide? You have the strength to stand firm. You have the ability to create change. In a world longing for kindness, you have the power to make a difference. The choice is yours. Will you step up to the challenge? Thank you for your time and attention. Until next time.